This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor John Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
There are so many things that we just have in our mind and we assume that they're correct because we've heard them 100,000 times. We got to get rid of all those myths. If you've done a great job saving, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish when you use the right strategies. Most people just aren't aware of them.
You've worked hard your whole life to earn and save. Now you need a plan to make that money work hard for you.
So people that have sacrificed opportunities to spend money, they sacrificed by putting the money in that 401k. They've sacrificed by putting that money in a 529 college plan for their grandkids. Those types of sacrifices should go rewarded in the long run.
John is here to help you find solutions for your retirement.
While you're on the internet, I plead with you not to stray too far on down the information hole, wormhole situation, whatever you want to call it, that is.
You sound like you speak that from experience.
I have faith in humans. I do. I believe that there is...
It depends on what day it is for me.
I believe there's a lot of good in this world still. I believe there's a lot of good people. I believe there's a few people messing a lot of things up. Now, not passing any judgments, but I am concerned about one individual in particular. You see it happening a lot. It's very popular in Europe, and now it's making its way to the United States. The idea of the roundabout and the traffic intersections, they're removing the four-way stop signs.
Yeah,
that cause backup, and they're now putting the roundabouts in where we merge and it helps the traffic flow, and it's great. I love it.
I think they're fabulous.
Okay, so you and I stand alone compared to this guy who had a different theory. He actually called up this as a Pennsylvania man. He called up his local TV station in Pennsylvania because he had some input on these roundabouts. Are you ready?
Absolutely. I got to hear it.
All right, here we go.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles. Because on the counter, you want to know why? When people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
I love that.
Is that your favorite thing?
It causes
my
tornadoes.
Favorite thing that I've heard all
I mean,
week.
not the same kind of tornado as like the Twister movie with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. No, I'm talking a different type of tornado. It might lead to a sharknator. We don't know what's going to happen next, ladies and gentlemen. No, I think that this is hilarious because I do know this. I have two turnabouts near me, near my neighborhood where I live. Now, my mother and my aunt live in Elizabethtown. And in E-Town, you guys would know this. You guys are from there. You ought to call in and let us know this. I know they're putting in 4 or 6 major turnabouts in Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
And it makes everyone verklempt.
They're not okay.
Because let's be honest, guys, this is a very European thing. They have not taught many of us how to drive in these turnabouts, if you will. If you go to small towns all over the state of Kentucky, in some parts of Tennessee, when you get to that city center where there's often a courthouse or a federal building, notice that there is basically a circular turnabout in those towns. And I'm trying to think if it's outside of Nicholasville, all these soccer games that my kids go to, and I haven't seen like Paris, Kentucky, or Versailles. Notice both of those are European cities, right? It's not Paris, it would be on Paris, and instead of Versailles, it would be Versailles. But having said that, and those don't quote my accent on those, but that's why they may have had some of those European design turnabouts. But most of us, we haven't been taught to drive on them.
Okay.
And so it's not dissimilar with anything in our lives, right, Heather? So if this is the first time you've seen this, if this is the first time you're experiencing this, we might just need a little bit of education. Whether or not we just want to hide and duck and cover from tornadoes or not, we just need to understand what can we do to understand them their turnabouts.
And also fight the misinformation. Like if anybody is theorizing that tornadoes are coming from the new roundabouts in town, please stop it. The misinformation in itself has gone viral. Like this is what so many people are battling. I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like, I don't even know what to do or where to go. I just want facts. Just the facts, ma'am.
And that's a huge deal. I was talking to someone this past week. I did a little bit of symposium with some like-minded people in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we were all together, and some of these people are just huge. I mean, they are just really unbelievably smart people. They've built unbelievably successful businesses. They are on top of things. But we were talking, oh my gosh, where do you find your information?
Yeah.
How do you know that what we're looking at is accurate? And the greatest thing, that one of the things that we discovered was maybe this, ladies and gentlemen, is a new medieval ages, a new dark ages. Now, back in the day, when you look at like the 14th century or so forth, most people were not allowed to read. This is how your feudal lords could keep you in place. They didn't allow you to be educated. And then on top of that, they would tell you what you needed to know and no more than that. But the dark ages came because they started burning all the libraries. The Library of Alexandria and all these things were all destroyed. So people couldn't get the information. So that was the original Dark Ages. Now look at today. It's a little different. Instead of burning all the books and not allowing people literacy, we have so much information. A sea of information, and we're all drowning because we don't know what's right and what's not. And that blows my mind. So maybe this is a new modern technological version of a new Dark Ages. So one of the things we have to understand is that whenever we can't figure out, or whether it's difficult to figure out what we should do, that's where we all want some form of guidance, right? And this is exactly why the greatest athletes on the planet, from Michael Jordan to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Magic Johnson to, for me, Don Mattingly, or take your pick on your favorite baseball players and whatnot, even Mike Trout today, every one of those world-class athletes, they all have coaches. There is someone there, and you can say the word coach, but that's not even how I like it. They're guides. They're there to say, listen, based on your abilities, there's no reason you can't make that bounce pass. Why did you try to do it this way? Why didn't you make that bounce pass? That was the better way to do it. And I promise you, LeBron James in his head is going, that's exactly right, coach. In the heat of the moment, he may not want to admit it, but I promise you that coach is probably accurate. It is absolutely no different with any other parts of our lives. So in the same room with all of these just multi-millionaires that I was just so graced to be in their presence, we had one of the biggest people in the room as far as what they've accomplished. He said he has personal coaches in every various factors of his life. So even though he is a multi-millionaire, he's created an unbelievable company. He actually has world famous people to talk about his nutrition. Now, does he know how to eat? Sure he does. But it's helpful for someone to say, listen, you really going to shove that pizza down your throat? Or maybe if you're hungry, you can just have a side salad or just have a turkey sandwich, type of thing, or roll it up in lettuce instead of bread. But the whole point is sometimes we just need that guidance. So if we're in a place in our life, maybe we've been working our whole life, putting that money in those accounts, letting it grow, but we're at the point we're trying to figure out, how can I retire? How do I make this big old pile of money turn into income so that we can live in retirement? How do I pay for long-term care? Because your mother is going through, your father or your grandmother. How do I make sure that I'm not giving more money to Uncle Sam than I need to? See, guys, these are pieces where we just want someone trusted in our lives to ask for guidance. It has nothing to do with products. It has nothing to do with today. It has to do with the next 15, 20, 30 years of our lives, right? Because retirement is not the end result. Retirement is the start of a very different journey. And we got to make sure that money's going to be there. So never be afraid to think, hey, I may have gotten myself here, and this is good, but I really don't know how to figure out this next part. There's so much misinformation. I don't know if annuities are good or bad. I don't know if I should be in the market or out of the market. I don't know if a 5% CD is good if inflation's at 7%. I don't know if I should take my lump sum or if I should do the pension option through my company. I have no idea when I should turn on Social Security or how that's going to be taxed. Hey, if I'm going to have a ton of money, how do I know that that's going to go to my kids and not to some doofus politician 15 years from now? Because it's not today. It's 15 years from now or 20 years from now when we're finally no longer here. And how can I be certain that before all that, I can live the life I want with dignity and do the things I enjoy? See, guys, those are all such important questions, and we all need guidance. I take guidance every day in my office.
And you give it, though, and that's, okay, so I want to ask you this question because you brought up some really good points. The idea of the biggest, most famous athletes in the world have coaches. I always say, like Celine Dion, she has a vocal coach. Don't think she just gets out there and sings like that every night. What was it? Because for a lot of people, there's usually like a point in their life where they make a decision as far as what they're going to do, especially when they have such a career path like you have chosen to do. What happened? What made you choose this profession and then go down as far as you have with this idea of, you're essentially a retirement coach for folks.
Realistically, yes. And the truth is, I always thought that I was going to be a corporate lawyer. My dad was a small town lawyer. So I kind of thought that I was going to be a lawyer too. I didn't know the difference, right? I just knew he had an okay life and, I understood it because he did it. Now, what my passion always was was in finance. I loved, even from the time I was in third grade, I laugh about it now because I never thought about it. When I was in third grade, because my dad was a small business owner, we'd go to Sam's Club and I would buy with my money a big old thing of Fireballs. And I would sell those for a quarter a piece in third period in fourth grade. Okay. And I made enough money to buy 3 more of those things every time I did that. So we're talking like over the course of a month or so. And when I realized, wow, there's not enough money to be made here, I went to start doing baseball cards. And I would buy a box of baseball cards, unwrap them all, find the most valuable ones, go to the consumer's mall and sell those baseball cards, and then buy 5 more boxes, and then that's what I would distribute to my buddies at a really reasonable price.
Yeah.
And then when that got to the point, I started buying musical guitars that played real well, but they looked ugly. So I'd refinish them, sand them down, repaint them. They looked awesome, and I'd make a few $100 a pop on that. That is always, to me, what has been amazing. I love capitalism. I love the ability that if you're willing to work hard and smart, you can make as much money as you think the sky's the limit. And so that led me honestly into investments. Not to make a ton of money, but there's a wealth of information I've learned over essentially 3 master's degrees, all finance related. And it's not because I'm saying I'm so smart. It's just that I love it that much. It's that passion that I see in so many of my clients that keep them working into their late 60s and early to mid 70s because they're good at it.
Yeah.
And they love it. Well, that's me. So, you know, a lot of people said, well, John, heck, you're almost 50. You're not going to be doing this much longer. Wrong answer. I could never imagine having anything that would give me more fulfillment than what I do. Now, my day-to-day activities may change a little bit, but I love this stuff. I love finding ways to making money and educating people on how, not necessarily the way I did it, how can they make money doing the things that they like or they're comfortable with or they want to do. Guys, that is probably what's going to keep me in this industry for, well, until I can't anymore, probably, realistically. So that's basically how I got here.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with John Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with John and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to John's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. It does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Jonathan Hicks, insurance license number 548962.